Welcome to Painting for Fun with Smitty. Ardell Smith is a nationally known painter-teacher. His listing in the 1983 edition of Who's Who in California was the result of his students having created more than 50,000 paintings. Now with this videotape series, he brings you instruction on how to create a variety of seascapes, landscapes, and still life paintings. Over the next few minutes, Smitty will share some of his amazing techniques. Try them yourself. You'll be surprised at how quickly you too will be painting for fun with Smitty.
I'd like to give you a little paint mixing exercise before you get into your picture. All three colors, red, yellow, and blue, make the entire color of the rainbow. So everything is made of those particular colors. Now if we mix a little red and yellow, we get orange. If we mix red and blue, we get purple. And if we mix yellow and blue, we get green. And to see what the color really looks like, if you add a little white where you can't tell, such as the purple down here, is not very purple. The point that I'm trying to get you to do an exercise in is in mixing your colors. If you get a color you say has got too much blue in it and you'd rather it have a little more green, the idea is not to add more green, just to pick, you would wind up getting a big pile of paint. The idea is if it's too blue, you negate the blue. You take the color out with orange, and that will turn it to gray. I'll mix a little more of it over here. So we have a little more orange. And if you put a little white with that, it'll give you a particular color. In this case, it turned out to be gray. That's what we want. Now, let's say the gray had too much yellow in it. We want to get rid of the yellow. The opposite on this color wheel, this is the color wheel. The opposite from the yellow is purple. So if you put a little purple with it, it will turn it back to gray. Now let's say that it had too much red in it. You didn't want it that red. Then you put a little green in it and it turns it back to gray again. Now I know what happens here. I can see that that's greener than we want. So if you don't want it that green, you put a little red in it, it will turn it to gray again. The idea of the artist is generally recognized for his ability to go to gray. And if you want to paint pastels, you have to go to gray, then add in your colors that you want to get a pastel color. The colors out of the tube are all pure pigments. So we have to learn how to mix the colors, and if you go through this exercise, you won't waste a lot of paint by trying to get a color by adding a lot of different colors. The idea is to take a color out rather than to put a color in. And I hope all of you will sit down and go through that little exercise and learn what you can about how to mix paints. It will help you a lot. We're going to paint a seascape today, and we're going to paint our sky first because that's the farthest away. We paint our water. I paint sky and water because that's the farthest away and the lowest down, and we paint everything on top of it or in front of it coming to us. So let's start with our sky here and get right into it. We're going to put in a little sunlight into our picture first, and I use yellow as a highlight to white. And once I get a little of that in, we're going to start in with a little blue and kind of bring that into our sunlight. And over in the edges, we're going to put in a little cobalt violet to get a little darker and a little more color in our picture. And we're going to paint our seascape down to about this level. And inside our sun area, we're going to put a little cloud in here so it kind of obliterates part of our sunlight. And we'll probably smooth this out a little bit so it's not too changeable in colors. Down here, I think we're going to take a little quinacridone red. I happen to love this color, and make our far away ground. The farthest away is this part down here. And I kind of love that color, so the quinacridone red isn't available with a lot of paint companies, but any rose color, it's basically a rose color. Give you a little change in the sky. Go back with a little cobalt blue. My blue is Parish blue. I don't know of any paint company that has a company or a blue color called Parish blue, but any light blue that they sell for the sky will suffice. I am painting on plasterboard. I use both canvas and plasterboard. I love painting on plasterboard because the colors come through so brilliantly. I hope you enjoy my music. It's Dixieland Jazz. My wife and I are Dixieland Jazz fans. And I love to paint the music. Keeps me hopped up a little bit. We're going to put in a little darker areas that look like it's clouds coming through here and there. You are hearing our garbage pickup outside, in case everybody wants to know what that noise was. We're painting in my studio, and we do have some outside influences. But it shouldn't alter the end product at all. Now, if I chose to sun streak the sky a little bit, I would use a little fan brush for that and lighten up right around the edge of our sky. And from the sun, I'll put a spot in here and call that where my sun is, because what we want to do is streak. And we want to streak from one point. If we don't do that, we put two suns in our picture or three. So the idea of the sun streaking is to get it going to one spot. And when you're all through, you can put your finger on that spot and it'll disappear, if you like finger painting. That was a little bit too much, so we'll paint that back out and try it over again. Now, I think we'll give you a chance to put your video on pause while you catch up with me, and then we'll start our seascape in a moment. We're ready to start our water, and the ocean level needs to be absolutely level. And since I can't draw a straight line either, I cheat. I use a Venetian blind. And I'm going to put this across my sky. And I'm going to see that the distance that I have from here is the same, so it's level. Then we have a little cerulean blue, a little Prussian blue, and we can stick in a little cobalt violet with it and paint the sides of our ocean dark. And your brush mark should always be level, so your ocean looks level. Otherwise, the sky we can do this way, but the ocean we need to change our style a little bit. And there is our ocean. We're going to keep painting this down for a little while. And we're leaving a little light in the center to reflect our sky. And when we get down to about that level, we'll clean our brush a little bit. And pick up some of our sky color and lace it through. We're going to butter our paint out, spread it out, so we can pick it up on our palette knife by standing it vertically on edge and getting a little bead of paint on our knife like this. Then we're going to go up underneath the sun and show some reflection on the waves bouncing around out there. We're going to leave a little blue ocean showing between these. And we're going to come down about 3/4 of an inch or so. This is just about right about here. Then we're going to start our ocean waves. And going to take a little phthalo green and white and paint in the transparent part of our wave, which is about like that. And the bottom of the wave needs to be dark, very dark. So we're going to use a little Prussian blue and a little cerulean blue together. We can also stick in a little cobalt violet again and cut this wave off at the bottom, and then gradually move it up. This is a transparent part of the wave, and we want this to be the very brightest right up in this corner. Our wave, this is a far-away wave. We're going to put another wave in front of this one, so we're going to make this one a little bit small. And it goes on out like this. Now our foam starts out just being a dark color. And then we take a palette knife and just get a little dab of paint on the very end and go across our picture and stick a little white all the way across too. Now this is our foam, and we're just going to take the palette knife, and I hold my palette knife just with 2 fingers, so it's so light, there's not a lot of pressure down here. And where we want our foam area, it's light on the top, and it gets darker as we go down. It's shaded down in this area down here. So we keep coming darker and darker and darker until it looks like a wave breaking and foaming into rocks. We're going to put our rocks in later. If I had rocks in now, I get dirty paint all over my white. So we're going to do that later, and we're going to also shadow under this later, and this also becomes foam where our wave no longer is on the buildup. It's foamed over here. And that also needs to have a dark bottom. So we're going to paint our dark on across. And this can jump up and down because the wave doesn't want to be too straight. And then if we continue to paint our water down a little farther, and this can be level again too. And we make it all the motion in our water by putting on our white in a irregular manner. We're going to take another bead of paint on the end of our knife and bring this one we should have done with a little shade of blue white, not pure white, because it's in the shadowed part of the wave. But anyway, we bring our water level back here, and then with a knife, I'm going to use a little different knife to bring this up so it climbs up our wave a little bit. Now we go back to our other little knife and bring in some white paint, because the sun will pick that up again. And this is where I get to use my new rubber foam brush. Maybe you've never heard of such a thing, but I saw it in the art store and I wondered what it was good for, so I picked up a couple of them, brought them home, and I found out that they do a magnificent job of making water waves. So I'm just picking up from my flat paint a bead of paint, and voila, here it comes out here to help me make my ocean level. But the other way and another way, I love the palette knife, so I'm going to go back and revert to the palette knife. And make a little bit of waterworks. That's before we make our next big wave. Then we're going to take a little more phthalo yellow, green, and white and come down here and show another big wave. That also gets dark blue. That's Prussian and cerulean I'm using. And darken the bottom again. Do our foam again. And this wave is going to bounce up fairly high. And take our brush again. And go up a little bit. So that sort of forms our wave. On this one, I think we'll do a little rollover. Otherwise, our leg, our wave action is a rolling action, and it actually rolls up and turns over like that. And we can line the top of that with a little very light and just bring it down ever so gently. And go back again with the palette knife and line the top again like we did before. And we can bring that on down to look like it's shaded. Carry a little extra light out across the top. And here is our top of our wave crashing in. It wants to be very light, cutting off our rollover part. And then we go to foam again. Now if we took a script brush, this is one, well, I'm thinking I'll not use the script. I'll use a little brush to go up and make some nice shadow material. I'm going to make it out of cobalt blue, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, Parrish blue, just so it gets to be a, kind of a dark area for shadow. And we're going to put a little shadow line under all of this. Up here and on down, all the way down in front. And do the same thing to the one on the bottom. And if you ever get a chance, go out to the ocean and take a look. And you'll probably see all of these things I'm showing you here. But when you paint, you exaggerate everything. So it's all easier to see in a painting than it is in real life. And now we're going to mix a little dark paint again. And I'm using Prussian, cerulean, and little cobalt violet to make a shadow color underneath our waves. So we're going to continue with this. Then again, we're going to put a little Prussian and a little cerulean and a touch of cobalt again, and continue our ocean down here. Same as we did before. And again, these lines should be level. Keep your water level. We can put our motion in it when we put our white in later. Now when we come in close to our beach, we're going to show a little sky color again down here. I'm going to take a little quinacridone red, a little yellow, and a little white. And see if we can, right underneath your sunshine. You see, I didn't clean my brush well, so I'm picking up a little blue and yellow make green. So don't get caught up in the same problems that I do. Just do as I tell you and not as I'm doing. Well, there's a pretty nice color down there now. Give you a little more quinacridone red in there. I hope you enjoy my Dixieland jazz music. The bottom of your painting should be very dark because you see more shade. Everything that comes close to you in your picture, you see more shade in it, so we're going to come quite dark in it. And that helps move your eye up into your picture. Now we're just about ready to finish off our picture. Better get out a little more white here. And we're going to butter it out again. Pick the white up on the edge of our knife like this. Go back. Start with a little blue-white first here in the shade part of our wave.
They danced and sang till early in the morning. They really didn't know just when to stop.
Then we're going to go pure white. Bring back the light in our picture. And I'm going to show you how to run a wave upshore. I'm going to put a bead of paint here, and I'm going to peel the paint off of the heel of the knife. I started out vertically, and as I move it back and forth, and you definitely hold it level with the water, then you start to peel the paint off, and this is the kind of an effect you get. And this is easy to get with a knife, and not too easy to get with a brush. You get such a nice effect. I think I'll pick up the beginning of that and show a little more of it this way. Now I'm going to roll the paint off of the tip of the knife to come out and give you another little thing like this. And we're just going to show a little water action at the bottom, not much. And now I think it's time for us to take a little break and let you catch up with what we've got. And we'll come back and put our hills and our rocks in and finish it off. We're getting ready to put in some back hills and some rocks into our picture. And to do that, I'm using some raw umber. Put in a little bit of cerulean blue in it, and a little cobalt violet again. But basically, it will come out as black on our picture. And the lighter we make it, the farther away it goes. So we're not going to make it too bright. And we're going to start a hill, quite a ways up in the air, and bring it down into our picture. This, incidentally, is a West Coast seascape. We have high hills. They don't have that too much on the East Coast. So you are painting something like you might see in Big Sur country. And that's the outline of our hills. Now, as we come down, our motion on our brush should come down this way. It helps make the hill look like it's coming down into the ocean. And if we come down lighter, it gives us an opportunity to put another hill in front of it. So we're just going to not add any more paint, but use what we got to come down about like that. Then if we go back and get some more dark paint, we'll see that that shows up very nicely here. And then we do the same thing that we did on this hill. We are going to bring it down from dark to light. And on this one you can come into the ocean a little bit farther, a little farther down. And as we get closer, it can be a little lighter than our back hill, which is okay. Now I think we'll bring a rock into this wave here. And we can also show a couple of little rocks out in the water. Won't hurt anything. Might help your picture. Bring our rock down, right down to where we're, to our level of our wave. And if we want to show more rocks than we have here. Looks like it's all one big rock. You can take a little highlight color, a little light blue, let's say, and go in and draw a rock in front of it. So it looks like it's two rocks. We can also draw a little rock down here. And then take our knife, put a little white paint on it, and make your rocks set into the water here. Then we have our big wave that we want to put some rocks in. So let's go right into there. And we can also show a couple of rocks just sticking in our foam, just sticking out of the foam. What you're painting here is the top of a rock. And you can have as many of those as you want to put in. And it doesn't hurt to stick a little white around it, like there's a little splashing going on. And the same here, we can have a little splashing going up here on this rock. And I think we'll show some of this come over and coming down on this side of our rock. Now I think at the bottom, we're just going to make us a little plateau of rocks down here. And when you get this dark down here, it gives you a good place to sign your picture too. Now we're going to take a little blue and a little white, kind of a mixture, a Duke's mixture. We're going to try and make it look like this water has splashed up. I got into the yellow, I shouldn't be in there. Like where the water is splashing up here. And it's kind of running around on this part of our rock. And we can also show a little drop, like it's a little waterfall. We don't need it so pink. Almost covered enough that you can't get a signature in there, so I'm going to take some of that off again. Oh. Didn't mean to upset the cameraman here. But I think we're just about done with our picture here. Now, if I wanted to sign it, I use the end of a brush in this case. And I sign my picture just by going, my first name is Ardell, but you're painting with Smitty. But I sign my paintings Ardell. The only thing I think of now that might improve our picture is to take a little thinner and thin out some dark paint. We can stick a little blue with that too, a little raw umber and a little blue, and go out and put some birds in our picture. I usually put 3 or 5. We don't want 2 or 4. Always an odd number. Well, I hope you enjoyed painting this picture with us, and that you become a fabulous painter over it. It would be nice to find out that you've helped somebody learn how to paint a painting. One little other thing that we might tell you about is that since we have a yellow sky, that we can reflect some of our yellow on our waves, and if you choose to do that, it's an option you have. You have so many options when you're a painter because you're the boss. Is you can stick a little yellow around here and show you a little yellow reflecting on your white waves. I'm going to take a script brush. So it's a good signature brush. It's a sable brush. It's a very expensive brush, incidentally. And put a little thinner in it and take a little dark gray and shadow underneath our waves. And this is what your picture is going to look like in a frame. Well, that concludes our Seascape today, and I hope you learn how to paint from this, and that you might want to choose one of our other pictures and paint again with me. It's certainly been fun for me. I hope it's been fun for you.
If you enjoyed this painting with Smitty, why not try your hand at another? Order the videos and learn to paint every one of these scenes. Collect the whole set, and you'll be painting for fun with Smitty.